I can only imagine the unimaginable loss of a child. And just I'm so grateful that you are turning using your voice and becoming an important one in the mental health space, and continuing to impact lives across the world. And teen suicide is now the second leading cause of death among young people, especially those 10 to 14, which I was reading yesterday. What are some of the most common warning signs of depression or emotional distress in teens that parents, educators, and peers often overlook?
Well, that's a great question, and that's written all over our website under resources. But here's where some of the most common things happen with teens. The first thing that a teen does is isolate themselves. So try to imagine that the teen's life is a box, and it's got six sides, four walls, a top and a bottom. And little by little, that box is going from blue or green, a nice color, an upbeat color, to gray, and then eventually to black. And when all those walls turn black, all those crevices are black, that's when a teen says, well, my life stinks, or uses a more expletive word. Tomorrow was bad. Today's even worse. Tomorrow, and then it's going to get only worse from here. No one's going to miss me anyway. And that's suicide.
Mm.
So what a teen does to begin with is they isolate themselves socially. They start withdrawing from their friends. They definitely withdraw from their family. They withdraw from happier times, which is why January and February are the top 2 months for suicide for teens, because they were started withdrawing on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they just couldn't
Mm.
take it anymore. So they don't want to be part of something happy. They don't want to be part of the sports scene anymore if they were in that, or the music scene. They just would prefer to be alone. Then they stop doing homework, because why would you do homework if you don't think there's going to be a better tomorrow? Then they stop having conversations with their family. So you start getting conversations that are monosyllabic. How was your day today? Fine. What's going on at school? Nothing. How are you doing with your best friend, Jimmy? Fine. You don't know anything at the end of these conversations. And that's all part of it. Sometimes they have eating disorders. They simply don't want to eat anymore. Like, why am I bothering to eat? I don't even like this stuff. Or they eat way too much because that's just as bad. So it's not a binge and purge. It's that they're not hungry. They want to stay in a room and they want to just watch videos. They just don't want to be part of anything or anybody. That's what happens primarily with teens. It's a little bit different than seniors that have that problem, but for teens, leave me alone, get off my case. I just want to be left alone.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I would love to know the role of social media in this. Obviously, I didn't grow up with social media. I didn't get it until I was in college, and Instagram came way after. And I was reading a story this morning of it popped up on my news feed of an influencer who had built a following on social media. And she had recently lost a bunch of followers and ended up committing suicide because of the lack of worth that she felt from according to this news article of the like building your worth on likes and follows and hearts. So what is the role of social media in anxiety and depression among teens nowadays?
Well, we have to be realistic, Haley, that Facebook, well, they don't really use Facebook, but Instagram, these are highlight reels of everybody's life.
Hmm.
They always tell the really good, not the real life situation, but the really good. It even
Yeah.
was so bad once that my kids came home from school, and this was Christmas time, and we live in Lafayette. It's kind of an affluent area. And they said, Dad, are we the only family that doesn't go to Lake Tahoe or Hawaii for Christmas vacation? Because that's how they felt. Everybody's posting these cool pictures, but not my kids. Even though they had a great vacation, they still weren't posting that stuff. So that's what social media is. It posts highlight reels, and it makes kids feel even worse because they're not having as good of a time as the perception they have of their friends. So now their family isn't really cool anymore. Their mom's kind of boring. Their dad's kind of boring. Dad works too much. Mom does this too much. It's all part and parcel of they're putting together a scenario that's not very healthy. So the best thing you could do as a parent from now on is when you have dinner is no more cell phones, no more texting, no more calling grandma or calling older sibling at college, nothing. Every meal should be dedicated to talking. So leave your social media out of dinner, leave it out of the car, Leave it out of walks that you take with your children. Those are the big three things. And learn how to communicate. Like in the old days when you were young, Haley, and your mom said, "So what's going on with your friend Jenny?" Because she really cared. But now we don't have that conversation because you're taking your kid from one event to another, or dinner is a rush. It's Stouffer's lasagna. Hurry up and eat. You got homework to do. You got to get in the shower. Let's go. And that's what's ruining it for every teen.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and I have 3 young kids, and so I try to make an intentional, time where I'm just not on my phone's in another room so that I can really have those. I mean, they're young, but they like to talk a lot, um, and no matter what they're talking about, right, as you can at 5, 3, and 2, but, having that intentional time of conversation and around the dinner table talking about highlights or challenges that they've faced through the day. And I've also heard that there is next level of bullying that happens online. So there's this epidemic of cyberbullying that happens. Can you talk a little bit about that and um, how that influences along with, obviously having that need to compare yourself or not feeling good enough or, um, and then people exacerbating that by bullying you online?
And bullying is a really big thing. People laugh at that, but it is big and it's on our website because it is a leading cause of suicide. So here's how this works. I decided I don't like what you're wearing and I don't like you. So I start picking on what you're wearing. Now, there could be nothing wrong with what you're wearing. It's not about that you wear the worst colors in the world or the weirdest things or you buy them at the thrift store. None of that might be true. I just don't really care for you. And I feel better as a bully making somebody else feel worse. So if you're already not feeling good about yourself and somebody starts picking on you and everything you now do is wrong, the color of your hair is wrong, the part of your hair is wrong, the color of your sweater is wrong, suddenly you just feel bad about yourself. And then this goes on day after day after day. And then you start reaching the point again that those 6 walls are getting dark. And then other people, your friends, are reading them and they're starting to avoid you as well because they didn't realize that they didn't like your sweater either.